Welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires, the show where we dive into some of the most epic sci-fi and fantasy stories you've ever heard. I'm Adrian Smith.
And I'm Julia Jones.
And we're so glad you're here with us.
Always a pleasure.
So today...
I'm excited about today's.
Yeah, you sent me this story, and it just sounds like...
It's a wild one.
It sounds like straight out of a movie.
Yeah.
It's got this intense, almost gladiatorial setting called the Blood Pit.
Yeah.
Where these hybrids are forced to fight.
It's brutal.
Yeah, and and we should probably explain for the listeners, just in case anyone hasn't heard this word before.
Oh yeah, good point.
Hybrids.
Hybrids are basically beings that are both human and vampire.
Right, so like a blend of the two.
Exactly.
So you've got this setting, the Blood Pit, and then we meet our main character, Maya.
Yeah, Maya.
Who's basically been kidnapped and thrown into this terrifying world and labeled as one of these hybrids.
Yeah, she's young too, just a teenager when all this happens.
Oh, wow.
It's really like she's been stripped of her identity, just thrown into this brutal game with no explanation.
And it's interesting because the story doesn't really shy away from the violence.
No, it's pretty graphic.
Yeah, Maya's first fight is against this monstrous creature, and you can practically feel the desperation and the fear.
Oh, for sure. But what stood out to me was how she reacts in the middle of all this chaos. She experiences this strange slowing of time. Like her senses are heightened. It's almost like the fear triggers something within her, something beyond, typical human capability.
Yeah, and it's not just that she's fighting back. It's like she's tapping into something else, something powerful.
Right.
And as the story unfolds, you see her slowly start to understand and control these abilities.
Like she's discovering a whole new side of herself.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder, what would you do if you suddenly found out you had these extraordinary powers?
I don't know, probably freak out.
Right. Would you embrace them? Would you be terrified? Maya's journey is all about grappling with that internal struggle.
And the thing is, she's not alone.
Oh, no, she's not.
We meet Tomas, another hybrid who's been captured.
He becomes kind of a mentor figure to Maya.
Yeah, he shows her that there's this whole network of resistance forming among the captives.
It's like this underground movement, a secret society almost.
So they're not just fighting to survive, they're fighting for something bigger.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that each hybrid seems to have this unique ability.
Like superpowers.
Kind of. Tomas can disappear into the shadows.
Wow.
While others can control creatures with their voices like it's a reflection of their personalities or experiences.
That's interesting.
It is. And Maya's ability to manipulate time gets more and more refined as the story goes on.
So it starts as this instinctive reaction to fear.
Right. But then she starts using it strategically, almost like a weapon.
Wow. And all of this leads up to this upcoming tournament.
This is where things get really interesting.
With a visiting vampire dignitary. And it becomes the focal point for the captive's plan to escape.
Yeah, the tension is building. You can just feel it.
And you can't help but wonder, will they be able to pull it off?
Right, because the stakes are incredibly high.
We've seen Maya grow from this terrified captive into someone who's starting to embrace her power.
But now she's facing a seasoned vampire warrior in the arena.
Yeah.
Talk about a challenge.
This is a whole new level of danger.
It is.
So we've got a brutal arena, a group of hybrids fighting for their freedom.
And a tournament that could change everything.
All right, so we've set the stage.
Definitely.
Welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires. I'm Adrian Smith, and I'm here with Julia Jones to continue our deep dive into this incredible story that you sent us.
Hey, everyone.
So last time we left off with Maya about to face this really powerful vampire warrior in this high-stakes tournament.
Yeah.
And what really struck me about this section of the story was just the author's use of sensory details.
Oh, absolutely.
You could feel the tension, you could smell the blood, you could hear the roar of the crowd. It was just...
It's so immersive.
Yeah, they described the blood pit on the night of the tournament just so vividly.
And you can almost feel Maya's senses, being heightened, like her focus sharpening as she prepares to fight. It's like the author wants us to experience the fight through her eyes,
Through those vampire senses.
Exactly.
And then there's the warrior himself, he's described as this ancient being with centuries of experience.
Right.
Which really emphasizes the power imbalance between them.
You just think, how can she possibly win against someone with that level of skill and knowledge?
Right.
But that's what makes this fight so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just about brute strength or speed. It's about strategy and cunning.
Wait.
Maya has to use her unique ability to manipulate time to even the odds.
And she does it in such a creative way.
She does.
Like, remember that scene where she slows down time just enough to analyze the warrior's movements to predict his attacks?
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's playing a deadly game of chess.
She's thinking several moves ahead.
Right. And it just speaks to her growing control over her powers, too, right?
Exactly.
It's not just a reflex anymore. She's using it deliberately, strategically.
And it makes you wonder, do you think these abilities, these powers, are something that the hybrids are born with, or do you think they develop them over time?
It's a good question. I'm leaning towards the idea that they develop these powers as they learn to embrace their hybrid nature.
Yeah.
It's like these abilities are dormant within them, waiting to be unlocked, through experience, through pushing their limits.
Right. And Maya's fight against the warrior is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
She's pushed to her absolute limit, both physically and mentally, and in that moment of extreme pressure, she does something extraordinary.
Yeah. She feeds on the warrior, taking his power for herself.
It's such a pivotal moment.
That scene is so intense. It's like a turning point for her.
It is.
Where she fully embraces her vampire side.
Yeah.
It's not just about survival anymore.
There's a sense of dominance, of taking control.
Exactly.
That we haven't seen from her before.
Right. And what's fascinating is that this feeding seems to spark the rebellion among the other captives. It's like they were just waiting for someone to make the first move.
Right.
To show them that it's possible to fight back.
Right.
To challenge the vampire's control, and then all hell breaks loose.
The arena just descends into chaos.
Oh, yeah. Shadows, twisting creatures, rebelling the audience, scrambling for their lives.
It's so vivid and cinematic.
You can almost hear the screams and the roar of the rebellion.
And at the heart of it all is Maya.
Yeah.
No longer the scared girl who was thrown into the blood pit.
Right.
But a leader, a symbol of defiance.
The story ends with this feeling of exhilarating uncertainty.
Yeah.
The rebellion has begun, but the battle is far from over.
Exactly. It leaves you wanting more, wondering what will happen next.
Right.
How will the rebellion unfold, and what role will Maya play in this new world order?
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part of the story.
We have.
We've seen Maya's transformation from captive to rebel leader.
Yeah.
The incredible power of her time manipulation ability and the explosive eruption of the rebellion. But we're not done yet. Stay tuned as we wrap up this epic tale in part 3.
And remember to rate and follow Robots vs. Vampires for more exciting deep dives into the world of sci-fi and fantasy. We'll be back soon with another amazing story.
Welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires. We're wrapping up our deep dive into this incredible story you sent us. It's been a wild ride so far.
It really has. And, as I was thinking about the story, one thing that keeps coming back to me is the whole concept of hybrids.
Yeah.
They're not fully human, not fully vampire, but this unique blend of both.
Right. It's like they represent this liminal space.
Yeah.
This blurring of boundaries between two seemingly opposing forces.
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes them so fascinating, both in the story and as a concept.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder about the nature of identity, doesn't it?
For sure.
What does it mean to be human, to be monstrous when those lines are so fluid?
Right.
This story really challenges our preconceived notions about those categories.
It does. And it's not just about the hybrids themselves. It's about how the vampires in the story react to them.
Oh, yeah.
They see them as a threat, as something to be controlled and exploited.
It's almost like the vampires represent the established order, the rigid power structures that seek to maintain control. And the hybrids, with their unpredictable abilities and their refusal to conform, are a direct challenge to that authority.
Which brings us back to the rebellion.
Right.
It's not just about escaping the blood pit. It's about something much bigger.
It is.
It's about fighting for autonomy, for the right to define oneself on one's own terms.
And that's a message that resonates deeply, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
The idea of breaking free from those who seek to define you, to control you, it's a universal struggle, whether it's in a fantastical story about vampires and hybrids or in our own lives.
Definitely. And the way the story ends with this open-ended question about what will happen next,
Yeah.
it really leaves you thinking.
It does.
Will the rebellion succeed? Will Maya be able to lead her people to freedom?
Right. Will she be able to control the monstrous hunger within her?
Exactly. All these questions that we're left with.
And what strikes me is that even though the story takes place in this fantastical world with vampires and supernatural powers, it still manages to tap into something very human, very relatable.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like those fantastical elements are a way to explore deeper truths about ourselves, about the choices we make, the battles we fight, both internal and external.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this story so compelling.
Absolutely. And that's what we love about diving into these epic tales here on Robots versus Vampires.
Yeah.
It's not just about escaping into another world. It's about using those worlds to reflect on our own.
So to all of you listening out there, if you have a story that's been burning a hole in your pocket, something that sparked your imagination, send it our way.
We'd love to take a deep dive into it with you.
And don't forget to rate and follow Robots vs. Vampires for more exciting adventures in the world of sci-fi and fantasy. Till next time, keep those imaginations running wild.